Welcome back to a new weekly market update. This is where I talk about what is happening with some of the stocks that I'm trading, some price movements, so technical charts, but also news related to that. And in this update, I brought some news with NIO, with Tesla, with Bitcoin, and for Huami. Before I start, let me thank all of the new YouTube subscribers as well as those who chose to support us on Patreon. This really helps us, and I've got a couple of news already posted in blog posts on my Patreon channel, and I'm actually also planning, because many people are asking which trades I'm making, can I have a more deep look into my portfolio? Yes, I have plans on that and I will be announcing it soon, so stay tuned for that. So this week we didn't see too much movement in the stocks that I'm covering, and for instance for NIO we see a slight dip after the rally, and I hope really that my last video about the danger of delisting of Chinese companies and so on helps some of you to hold through to your investment and to become strong and not a weak hand and buy and sell all of the time, because this should also be my message in this video. I will be showing you some examples of how I actually like to think of an investment, how I'm personally investment, and this is much more a buy and hold strategy in general. But let's start with one mover, and that is actually Bitcoin, and I've never talked about it in this channel, but I'm currently holding also Bitcoin and Ethereum as an investment, and actually before my portfolio, my stock portfolio really went up quite a bit this year and really outperforming all of my other assets. And this way also Bitcoin has actually just become 1% of my portfolio in the end, so it's not too much. I'm thinking about actually buying more. Actually this week I bought a little bit more, but in general we see that Bitcoin is on the move higher here. As you can see now, it's broke through this resistance, making new short-term all-time highs here, and in general I think this trend is beginning to start, because more and more people are realizing that Bitcoin is actually a store of value. We had some news about Square investing also 1% of their assets, company assets actually, into Bitcoin, so that is massive. We have PayPal jumping to Bitcoin now, enabling people to transact Bitcoin. But I see Bitcoin much more as a store of value, like the digital gold standard here, instead of a way of transferring money, because I don't see too many application cases for that so far. But with central banks printing money, with businesses restricted in many of the areas and so on, I think there is a good way of securing some of your assets in Bitcoin, as it may be a new store of value, especially when inflation kicks in at some point in time. And I really like to think of Bitcoin in a way like also just as a stock that has a market capitalization here, which is in my point of view still quite low in context to the overall potential to where Bitcoin can go. So it was one of the biggest mover during this week, and now you know that I'm also invested in it, and I'm planning on covering it in the future, because there's also some really interesting development regarding that in what China is doing regarding the digital currency that they are launching and the way they are launching it. Then we also had the important Q3 earnings of Tesla, and in my point of view it has been an outright success, like really over delivering, also beyond my personal estimations actually. So in the beginning I wasn't quite sure going into this earnings, because there has been a sell-off in the last couple of earning dates, and we see also the same effects happening with NIO from time to time. But if you're following my Twitter, you saw that before the earnings I actually bought more shares of Tesla, and if you see here my history of actually buying Tesla, and this is just a more recent history. Actually I started buying Tesla in 2015, but each of those green dots here are purchases, so that doesn't tell you how many shares I've been trading with each transactions, but you can see the points where I've been buying. And well, not really proud about my Q1 purchases here, buying the all-time highs back then, but I also really bought most of the dips here, and I continue to buy Tesla, and this time I thought like the chart setup is actually looking quite strong. So as you can see on the chart, Tesla stock really tanked into the earnings, and then finding this support zone here where I thought it's good opportunity to buy actually, because I had a couple of reasons why I was getting more bullish on Tesla during that time. And the first one is I've been doing and sharing the market analysis of the sales data coming from China, and also now in the Q3 earnings we saw that Model 3 production capacity in Shanghai has increased to 250,000 units a year. So this is a massive scale, in general. So really bullish on Tesla China here. And another reason was that I knew Elon Musk is going to talk about full self-driving, and now we already see some of the first videos of those beta testers appearing on the net, and this is really, it could be another accelerator for Tesla stock in the future when FSD proves to be developing well here. So I don't want to miss out on that. And also in general, I do think what people got wrong about Tesla earnings is that they are criticizing Tesla for having 14.5 billion cash that they can now spend in order to expand the battery production. This is, in my views, what they're going to do, and this is why they raised the money, although they currently don't need it because the business is generating so much cash flow, and also they are showing the 5th time consecutive profitable quarter, despite some people are arguing that this has only something to do with regulatory credits. And speaking of that, my Patreons already know a little bit more in this regard regarding NIO, and I'm planning to do another video on that. But first, let's take a look at some NIO news this week. So first, I got some videos here about the EC6. So the NIO EC6 is this Model Y competitor here, and it's really looking stunning. So my friend Richard in China, he sent it over to me. It's actually at a swapping station that I visited with him last time in Suzhou. And as I didn't have the opportunity to see this car in person myself yet, I'm really happy to see this footage here because it really shows that the build quality once again is really stellar. It's looking really great here in my point of view. So I'm really bullish about the launch of the EC6 that should be reflected more in the next sales numbers from NIO here. Then another news regarding NIO, or actually a rumor I should say, is that NIO is working on their own full self-driving chip, and I'm actually taking this news with a pinch of salt. Actually, I'm doing a little bit of background research, and this I'm also sharing already with my patrons in some posts regarding NIO's way to autonomy, what is their strategy, how they're working with it, and I'm kind of skeptical that they will actually go with this idea of developing their own full self-driving chip. Generally, that would be good news, of course, but on the other hand, it would also have a couple of downsides. For instance, all of the investment that needs to be done, and also in a timeline that would be quite late to start doing it right now. I actually have a different perspective on that. I think NIO will go with another way, and I will be outlining that in a future video that is dedicated to just this topic. So stay tuned for that, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to don't miss it, and hit the notification button so that you get an update when I will posting it. Then really important news about Huami, ticker symbol HMI. Some of you know that I'm covering this stock and that I think that is fundamentally undervalued and it should go up in the future. And one of the big red flags so far has been that they have a partnership with Xiaomi that needs to get extended because 70% of their revenues are actually depending on this partnership. And now we finally had this news and the stock didn't do anything. And my explanation for that is that, well, we know now that the partnership has been extended, and actually for 3 years, which is great. And I was actually not doubting that this is going to happen. But I think what is missing so far are the details, like to which prices and margins and so on did they negotiate this new deal. And that will have some influence on the stock price for sure. But in my point of view, this is already great news because it's substantially de-risking the stock about a potential miss on signing this contract again. So for me, that's actually already great news. Although the stock is really in a downwards pattern here, so in this downwards trend, and it could even go lower from here until it reaches more support levels. But once again, this reflects well with my personal investment strategy that I use such kind of occasions in order to accumulate more stock whenever there is a downturn, unless my perspective on a stock is actually changing. And so far it hasn't changed, it has been confirmed so far, and I'm actually going to do more fundamental work now on the outlook of the Q3 numbers, the Q4 numbers, and how the business can scale in the future. And we'll be outlining this in a new video, so stay tuned for that. So I guess the wrap up of this week is that sometimes you just have to have patience and to be able to also buy in dips and then accumulate going forward, because sometimes those really big spikes, such as in NIO and in Tesla and in Huami, which all of them haven't happened this week, can go really quick. And then viewing back, you rather ask yourself why you didn't accumulate more when the shares have been in a downtrend. And so I hope to convince some of the viewers here to to stay more calm in such kind of situations, to not go and buy and sell too much, because I believe there have been some people that have been missing out, for instance, for NIO in the run up from around 12 to 13 US dollars, where they said, well, I'm going sell off now for profit taking and then buy it back cheaper later. That didn't happen in the end, and now they have missed out on all the run to $27 now, and they will probably never get in back again, and they're gonna miss out on all of the way up till the future. So this is it. Have a great weekend and stay tuned for another update during this weekend, this time focused only on NIO, so I hope you enjoy that. Once again, please hit the like button, this goes a long way, and then see you in the next one.